You work hard all your life, and the last thing you want to do is end up with a respiratory illness that could be avoided. So, the good news is if you're using the correct respiratory protection, it's going to protect you. But you've got to make sure that you've got it right. So, when it comes to the likes of dust masks or disposable masks, they're not all the same. So, you need to understand the markings of the mask. And that's what's going to determine the level of protection that you're going to have. We're going to start by looking at these so-called nuisance dust masks. They're not classified as personal protective equipment. They don't meet any CE standard at all, and the level of protection, well, that's zero in a nutshell. So they won't protect your health. So the best advice I can give you with them is just to bin them, because that's all they're really fit for. Then we have these K95 masks. So they're made to a Chinese standard, not a European one at all. And they're not independently certified. So the level of protection, it can't be guaranteed. Again, just like the nuisance dust masks, they're not classified as personal protective equipment at all. So proper protection, that comes from certified respirators. So the likes of your dust mask, your disposal mask. And what you're looking for there is that it's EN 149 standard. And that just means that the mask has been tested for filtration, breathing resistance and fit. Then we have the ratings. So they come in FFP1, FFP2 and FFP3. So FFP3, it just stands for filtering face piece, and the number is the level of protection. So the higher the number, the higher the level of protection. So FFP1, that's a low level, FFP2 is medium level, and FFP3 gives the highest level of protection. And depending on what task you're doing, this number really does matter. So let's say you're cutting MDF, and that's creating harmful fine dust. So you should be using an FFP3 disposable mask or a P3 filter on a reusable respirator. Anything less than that is not going to give you the protection that you need. So a proper disposable mask should have a CE mark on it, EN 149 and an FFP3 rate with clear manufacturer's details. If they aren't on it, don't trust it, it's not worth it at all. So let's say we have the correct respiratory protection. It needs to be face fit tested. So with respiratory protection, you're relying on a good seal around the face, and that means that they must be face fit tested, and that's a legal requirement here in Ireland. So employers must make sure respiratory protection is suitable and that it actually works. Because if the mask hasn't been fit tested, well, you can't be sure if it's protecting you or not. And for those with facial hair, it's a different story, as obviously like the seal can't be achieved at all. So in those cases, a PAPR, a power air purifying respirator is needed. And that uses the likes of battery power to supply clean air into the hood or helmet, creating positive pressure so contaminated air can't get in. And because it doesn't rely on a tight face fit seal, this type of respiratory protection doesn't require face fit testing, but they tend to be expensive, but they're well worth it. So the message is simple enough. Get the right respiratory protection. Make sure it's to the right standard and it's properly fitted. That's what's going to protect your health. Anything less than that, it won't. I hope you found this helpful. I offer courses specifically tailored for schools, so feel free to check out my website on www.safetyfirstsolutions.org or contact me to discuss your needs. As always, thanks for your time, and I'd really appreciate it if you'd like, share and tag.